Pay close attention. What you're about to see is Bible prophecy being fulfilled.
Welcome to another edition of YPN News, bringing you news as it relates to Bible prophecy and foretold by Israel Hawkins. Well, Jeff, things are heating up in and around the Great River Euphrates as the conflict in Syria grows closer to all-out international nuclear war. That's the threat on the horizon. But we have several reports to bring you today concerning the deteriorating situation in Syria, as well as the international community's plans to move closer to accomplishing a greater goal of full control over that particular area. First, we're going to turn it over to our field correspondent, Larry McGee. And Larry, many are speculating about the type of weapons used, saying it's chemical. Now, do the facts bear that out, or is it still uncertain?
No official evidence has been provided to support that assertion at this time, Katan. But in a telling move, the Pentagon updated the target list for potential airstrikes against the Syrian government this week. The gruesome images circulating from the alleged chemical attack are said to be forcing President Obama to defend his red line. In a statement to the press, the president commented that what we've seen indicates that this is clearly a big event of grave concern. But there is upset and discontent among the U.S.'s Quartet allies, who are pushing the president to take stronger action. British authorities say UN inspectors need to analyze the evidence, which is deteriorating by the hour, and Russia is reported to be calling on Syria to allow the inspectors access. Stemming from the incident is also some controversy over the new U.S. ambassador to the UN and her response to the tragedy, choosing to send her deputy to the Security Council emergency session while she tweeted regarding the incident from the comfort of her vacation. The message on Twitter read, "Hundreds dead in the streets, including kids killed by chem weapons. UN must get there fast, and if true, perps must face justice." Syrian insurgents, however, say America has been so hesitant that the Assad government can ignore such warnings, and they foresee more death and more mourning as the competition for Syria rages and the lives of its inhabitants continue fading away. For YPN News, I'm Larry McGee. Katan, Jeff, back to you.
Interesting, quite interesting. We'll see how everything unfolds. Well, like we said earlier, because things are heating up in Syria, and since the Syrian regime is accused of crossing the red line with the use of chemical weapons, the Pentagon is making initial preparations to use the sophisticated cruise missile. Now, these missiles are, of course, designed to carry large warheads over a very long distance.
Like a nuclear warhead?
Particularly nuclear warheads, correct. But before, of course, anything can take place, for instance, these missiles actually being used, the Pentagon has to get the approval from President Obama. He has to do so, and of course, as of yet, there's no indication that he's giving that green light.
And President Obama stated in an interview with CNN regarding attacking Syria, he said, "The U.S. going into another country without a UN mandate and without clear evidence that can be presented, then there are questions as to whether the international law supports it. Do we have the coalition to make it work? Those are considerations that we have to take into account," he said.
It sounds like a lot of things have to build up before so. Now, the current topic of distress is the recent attack on Damascus that left hundreds dead and even more suffering respiratory distress, while the numbers climb as many speculate the use of poison gas, aka chemical weapons. This in spite of the U.S.'s warning that the use of such weapons could provoke a response.
Now, President Obama's national security advisor sent out a tweet saying there had been an apparent chemical weapons attack. Also, a commander in the U.S. forces in the Mediterranean has ordered Navy warships to move closer to Syria to be ready for a possible cruise missile strike. Now, this kind of strike would not put any U.S. soldier at risk and is not intended to topple President Bashar al-Assad, but to convince him that he cannot get away with using chemical weapons.
Interesting. Joint Chiefs Chairman General Martin Dempsey is expected to present options for a strike. Now, potential targets include command bunkers and launchers used to fire chemical weapons. As of yet, the U.S. President Obama hasn't made a decision to approve an attack. U.S. intelligence has also detected the movement of chemical weapons within Syria, but at that time that didn't seem unusual because of the current conflict. There's been a lot of weapons movement taking place already.
Now, a UN team of experts already in Damascus to investigate other smaller attacks is expected to conduct an investigation, but so far they haven't even been allowed into the field. Now, with graphic images being released daily, even Russia, Syria's biggest supporter, is calling for a UN investigation. Now, one of the things on the table for Mr. Obama is what he would do if he ordered an attack and Syria continued to use chemical weapons.
Right. Just 2 days after the chemical attack, images have been streaming in showing the horrific scenes of the dead and wounded. Some victims report not being able to breathe, losing consciousness, convulsions, and blindness. It's impossible to verify how many people have died, but in the makeshift morgue, there were so many people, many of them just have a number.
Now, a doctor working at one of the clinics in Syria spoke about how his mobile unit treated 900 patients, 70 of whom died, many of them children. He said, when you see many of these children die in front of our eyes, this is a terrible feeling. He said, I can't describe it. Now, he also said that many of the patients have neurological damage, like confusion and memory loss, and that he believes could only be caused by, like you said, a nerve agent.
It seems like that'd be hard on anybody to see. Now, a Syrian opposition spokesman expressed his frustration and anger with the international community over the attack. He said if the U.S. had delivered the arms that it promised over 2 months ago, then this deadly attack might not have happened.
Well, continuing with the news, Senator Lindsey Graham was interviewed on Face the Nation regarding his recent trip to Cairo, Egypt with Senator John McCain. Now, Senator Graham is widely viewed as one of the strongest proponents of a robust national defense and considered a loyal friend to those serving in the military.
He also has been a frequent visitor to the war zones in Afghanistan and Iraq for on-the-ground assessments. Graham has consistently pushed for outcomes in the war on terror, which defend the United States' long-term national security interests.
On their recent trip, the senators met with both those who support President Morsi and those who oppose him. Now, Senator Graham was asked about the Egyptian generals who were trying to say that this is a war on terrorists, and at the same time, the brother of the head of al-Qaeda was planning to bring in armed groups to oppose the generals. So Senator Graham was asked if this makes the situation more complicated in trying to figure out what the U.S. should do and who they should support.
Well, Senator Graham said, in a way, yes, but in a way, no. After 2011, we sided with the protesters against Mubarak. There's no going back for our country to supporting strongman dictatorships. The Muslim Brotherhood corrupted their mandate. They won the election, and the Egyptian people are not terrorists. They got a majority of the vote, but after a year of governing, they drove people away. This coup, and it is a coup, he said, has a lot of popular support.
Now, the senator continued, but where are we headed? We're headed for Algeria. The Brotherhood will go underground, al-Qaeda will come to their aid, and you're going to have an armed insurgency, not protesters on your hands in the next 60 days or 90 days, and we're going to have a failed state in Egypt, and we're going to have to suspend our aid because we can't support the reaction of the military, even though the Brotherhood, overplaying their hand, started this. We can't support what the military is doing in response.
Interesting, Algeria.
Yep.
Senator Graham was asked if cutting off aid would help encourage a government to come to power that has al-Qaeda elements in it. Senator Graham answered, no. Al-Qaeda's never going to win at the ballot box. If there was a new election, the Brotherhood would get beat. They would be marginalized by the Egyptian people, and the army is making these people martyrs. You're looking at Algeria, where the opposition becomes an armed insurgency.
Now, once again, he continued, the best way to solve this problem is to write a new constitution where everybody has a say and have new elections. If you had new elections, the Brotherhood would get creamed at the ballot box. But they're going to be a very formidable force on the streets. They're going to get alive with Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is going to come uninvited into Egypt, and you're going to have a failed state. That means that gas prices go up for us, the Suez Canal gets compromised, and Egypt becomes a staggering area for terrorist attacks against Israel. This is an absolute disaster in the making.
Sounds like it. Senator Graham spoke openly about what else he would do besides cutting off this aid. He responded, I would tell the generals that we're going to suspend all aid until you allow democratic transition. And the aid is just a symbol for the relationship. It's not that much money. What would happen if we cut off the aid is that Western tourism ends in Egypt for the foreseeable future. For as far as the eye can see, Western investment comes to a standstill.
He continued, Egypt becomes a beggar client state of the Arab Gulf states. Now, Egypt's failure is really damned, and he said, I make that point clear. It's not just about aid, it's about the relationship. We're the strongest nation on earth, he said. Everybody that sides with us tends to do better than people that we oppose. So I would play to the best interest in the military. Stop this before it gets out of hand. We can't support where you're taking Egypt.
Sounds like a major warning there. And I tell the Brotherhood, he continued, forget about the condition of Morsi being put back in as president before you have a new dialogue. I will be firm with the military and the Brotherhood. We do have a lot of influence, speaking of the United States. And if American business stops investing in Egypt and American tourists stop going to Egypt, their economy is going to be in ruins. Now, there's a lot at stake here for us and them, he said. If you had a winner-loser list from a failed state in Egypt, the Egyptian people and the American people would be on the loser list.
Well, lastly, Senator Lindsey Graham was asked if he believed General Sisi was actually running things there in Egypt. He said, absolutely. I saw a man very conflicted. He's having people whisper in his ear from the Sunni Gulf states, even Israel, crush the Brotherhood. If you think you can take 25 or 30% of the population and put them all in jail and kill them, you're making a mistake. Now, that is Algeria, and we've sent mixed signals. John McCain and I call it a coup because that is exactly what it is, but we wanted time to restart.
When Secretary Kerry said that the military was restoring democracy, they took that the wrong way. They started jailing all the leaders of the former government. That was a signal to me, he said, that they were not interested in transition. They were not trying to restore order. They were trying to grab power, and someone needs to look Al-Sisi in the eye and say, you're going to destroy Egypt. You're going to doom your country to a beggar state. You're going to create an insurgency for generations to come. Turn around, General, before it's too late. You're a better man than that.
Well, interesting comments from Senator Lindsey Graham.
Most definitely.
Well, recently we've mentioned that the peaceful solution is gaining a lot of attention as people begin to see that it is the only way to truly solve the problems we face today in society and the world. Now, our next story shows a municipal court judge expressing the thanks and overwhelming joy she's found by implementing the peaceful solution in her courtroom. Let's listen to her own words as she talks about this basic, simple message of the peaceful solution and personally thanks the author, Yisrayl Hawkins.
Good morning to all my peaceful solution friends, not only in this great nation of ours, but across the world. It certainly has been a pleasure to work with Peaceful Solution because it has truly impacted our courtroom. It has impacted the lives of many children and many adults in this great city of Laredo. I'd like to thank Mr. Israel Hawkins for his leadership, his foresight, and his influence here in Laredo. It certainly has made a big difference, like I said, and it's something that I will continue to do in this courtroom as long as I'm in this position. As the municipal court judge here of Laredo, I've added Peaceful Solution to our monthly sessions. We've had it for the last 3 months, and it's truly impacted the lives of our students, our children, and also the parents who also attend. I truly feel blessed to have met William Krause and all the individuals from Peaceful Solution from Abilene, Texas. And they have not only inspired the children, but they have inspired me to continue the message of moral principles. And this is something that is, we go back to the basics. And I think if we could all go back to the basics, this world will certainly be a better place. But I know it's not easy. I know that at times we get criticized personally for what we do. And that is something that's in nature of certain people. But I ask for those to truly look into their hearts and really think, what is true? I know you'll hear negativity, you'll hear gossips about whatever message Peaceful Solution is doing. But if you truly just give it a chance, open up your hearts, you'll see that is a basic message that if we would adhere to it, our life and our world will certainly be a better place. And going back to the negativity, I know that at a local level, a very minute level, I deal with negativity in the message that I'm trying to send across, not only on the Peaceful Solution, but in general, what I'm trying to do is educate our citizens, especially our young people. But I know Mr. Israel Hawkins faces these battles in a worldwide, but I get inspiration from him because I know that he's not giving up, and I certainly am not going to give up because I truly believe in the message. I truly believe that the message is simple, but it's real and it's true. And I think that's something that we face on a daily. I can't compare myself to Mr. Israel Hawkins, but I understand how the negativity and the gossip of individuals may affect certain people. But I tell you, it certainly doesn't affect me and what I'm doing, because I know deep in my heart what I'm trying to do is sincere. One more thing that I wanted to say is, and those who have accepted and made Peaceful Solution and doing what's right as part of your life, I ask you to not give up, not be overwhelmed or take that negativity and make you doubt yourself. Don't allow anybody to do that. Look deep into your heart and you know what's right. You know what's right. And we need you to keep that message going. Hi, I'm Municipal Court Judge Rosie Cuellar from Laredo, Texas. I'd like to welcome you to the Peaceful Solutions website. I invite you to journey through all the pages of great information that Peaceful Solution has to offer to you and your loved ones. Please enjoy each page and open your hearts and minds to something that will change your life forever.
Well, Katan, hopefully everyone will take Judge Rosie Cuellar seriously and visit the Peaceful Solution so that they can see how they can start experiencing the benefits of the Peaceful Solution program. Yes, definitely. Now, up next is Yisrael Hawkins, but before we leave you, grab something to write with and jot down the House Yahweh information so you can obtain your free copy of the Prophetic Word magazine and monthly newsletter and read for yourself the prophecies soon to be fulfilled, just as Yisrael Hawkins foretold them.
You can contact the House of Yahweh by writing them at P.O. Box 2498, Abilene, Texas 79604. You can also call them at 1-800-613-9494. You can visit the House of Yahweh on the web at www.yahweh.com or www.yisraelhawkins.com. And you can send them an email at info@yahweh.com. And of course, all calls outside the United States, please dial the number on your screen.
Well, up next is Yisrael Hawkins. From all of us here at YPN News, I'm Jeffrey Heimerman.
And I'm Katan Alexander.
Thanks for watching.